Hey everybody, Terry here again with howtoinstallplankflooring.com. I'm here with Michael Lush and we're starting on a room that literally would be the standard for any room in the house, whether it's your kitchen, whether it's your bathroom, whether it's your living room. But Michael's built this house and we're actually on the second bedroom. He's actually going to lay this flooring in 2 days in his whole house. So we're going to get some insight on how to do that. But before we do, Michael, step us through a little bit on start to finish. When somebody says, I want to lay a floor, in your case, we're laying this on plywood. They bring the wood home from the store. What's the first thing they need to do?
Well, you need to let it acclimate, and depending from manufacturer to manufacturer, it could be, just a few days really is all you need. And that would be the case whether it's hot outside or whether it's cold outside, because the home improvement stores or whatever liquidator place you might get it from is not temperature controlled.
Right.
So you need to let it acclimate so that you don't have too much expansion and contraction when you go to lay it down.
Because if you don't let it acclimate, you just start throwing it in the day you get it, down the road, this wood could buckle.
Correct. Because
of the conditions. Okay, that's very important. Now, when you're using what we call plank flooring or tongue and groove, there's different ways we can say that. I'm just curious, is it easy to install?
Yeah, this has been the easiest floor I think I've ever installed, but it goes together real simply. It just has a tongue and a groove like Terry said, and they just interlock with each other. With some laminates you have to take it up and let it go in a little bit. It's helpful to have a mallet.
Just straight in?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, to go in. And so even your ends are tongue and grooved as well.
Okay. Now, I think from my limited knowledge, to start a room is the most important, because if you have to start right to finish right.
Correct.
Because you move in one direction. You don't start here, then go over here and meet in the middle.
Correct.
Okay. So actually we're starting a room here, and we've actually done some things. But Michael, just real quick, show us how you start straight on the wall.
Yeah, so depending on what size flooring you have, I have 5-inch flooring right here. And of course, depending on whether it's new construction or if it's remodel or something like that, I held my baseboard up so that I can actually slide my flooring up underneath if I wanted to. But most of the time, you're probably going to have to butt it into the baseboard. And so with that, you want to leave about 1/4 of an inch. Well, you have to check your manufacturer requirements, but most of them are about 1/4 of an inch is all you need to allow. And you might allow a little bit more on bigger stretches.
Right, because on your new construction, you've already had your baseboards raised. And a lot of people, it won't be new construction, so they're going to have to just lay it to where it's against the baseboard to where it comes out. You said it comes out a little bit.
Right, and they have spacers that you can purchase that are fairly inexpensive, where you can just make some 1/4-inch spacers if you want. Yeah, just something skinny that you can stick in here.
So it won't move on you.
So so it won't move on you.
So you place them in, like, I don't know, 2 feet apart all the way down?
Yeah, something like that. Now what you want to do too, which is what we've already done, is you don't want to take for granted that a wall is straight.
Well, especially in older houses when they set up a wall sort of get low, right?
Right. So
what have we done with this little?
Yeah, so what we've done is we just use the chalk line. You can purchase that at a home improvement store for about $4 or $5 is all it is. And that's going to be one of the most helpful things, because like we said, we're about 5 inches on this plank, and so we came out about 5 1/4 from the baseboard out, and so that's where the front side of this flooring will end up right there. And so that way it gives you a nice straight line, and that way you know that your first line is straight. Now of course, you might want to check the other side of the room, check it up against this chalk line. After you chalk this line, go to the other end of the room if you can, measure it, and see if it measures about the same, because you don't want to end up with a 3-inch sliver on one side to 2 inches. So you may have to shift it a little bit to where this may have to be a little bit wider on one side and a little bit narrower, because you want it to look about even.
Okay, so your measurements on one wall will be 1, and then make sure they're close enough. when you do move that way.
Right.
Okay, well, and I know you're laying this on a plank floor, so we're not using the cushion because the moisture barrier is not as important.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Don't want to get too much involved in that, but we're not laying on a cushion. We're just basically laying on this rosin paper, which does have a moisture barrier, correct, Michael?
Yes.
And so basically, let's say for some reason your wood didn't acclimate all the way, you're still going to have a little buffer there to keep the moisture at bay,
Right.
so your floor doesn't buckle. So,
And that's on a plywood substrate. So if you were with a concrete floor, you would almost be required
to use a cushion.
to use the cushion.
Because concrete draws moisture.
Right.
Gotcha,
Right.
gotcha. Okay, well, so this is the beginning. So what we're going to do is we're going to let Michael work. We're actually going to show you how he notches corners where sometimes it may get a little tricky. So we're going to let him work until he gets to his vents, to his corners, and we'll join you again in a few minutes. I'm going to pause the video, but the video will run continuously. Okay, we'll see you in a minute. Hey everybody, back here with Terry with howtoinstallplankflooring.com. Now we're in the midst of this room, and Michael has come through and he's done a few notches that we'll explain a little bit later. But there's one thing that I really wanted to emphasize, and as Michael works, I want you to notice how when he comes into a room, how he staggers it. In other words, he places this here. See how he's staggering it? And what I mean by that is, you wouldn't come into a room and just put piece on piece on piece on piece, and you see where you've got this gap here. Now, Michael, explain to us why somebody wouldn't just start piecing together and have these grooves here.
Yeah, you got to start from one side and work to the other side, and you want to make sure that your joints. It's kind of like brick. You don't want your joints to all be in the same spot, so you have to break those up. Manufacturers may depend different, or want you to stagger it differently, but usually about 6 inches is what you want on a lat joint.
So what you're saying is this gives it enforcement, right? In other words, the fact that you're staggering it and not all the pieces are laying
Correct.
like that.
Correct.
Now, so if I'm doing this, which I am, what if I started laying like this, and I'm staggering it, but I've got this gap here? Well, can I just go ahead and say, well, I'll just put this here? What would happen?
You're putting the cart before the horse. You need to make sure that you get these pieces in there first before you start on this one.
Okay.
So that's why we kind of staggered it out like this. And so this one, now you got to start cutting these pieces that go to the wall and finish up some runs.
Okay, that's a good point. So when we see you again in just a few seconds, we're going to actually be notching corners here. And Rachel, if you come here, I'll just step out of Michael's way for a minute. See these corners here? These pieces have been notched. Now what happens is, and like I said, we're going to show you this in detail, but we're going to learn how to do that custom fit, okay? It's not hard. You just got to take a few extra, minutes, Michael, seconds?
Yeah, minutes.
It's one measurement and a cut, and you get this flush feel to your house. So we're going to learn how to do that in a few minutes, and see you in a minute. Hey everybody, Terry Bradley again back here, howtoinstallplankflooring.com. Now one of the biggest things that people have issues with when they're installing floors, I guess Michael can attest to this, is actually room transitioning. Would you agree with that, Michael?
Yeah.
On how to transition from room to room. Now in this situation, we're in the bedroom, but now we're transitioning out to the hall. And what happens is when you reach situations like this, and I'm not going to criticize the industry, Michael, but some people can take shortcuts here, right? And
Yeah, because most of the time, what you like to see, well, I say most of the time, but all the time, what you like to see is for it to go up underneath the casing, just like that. And so it's supposed to be able to slide up in there. Which some installers do have jam saws, and I think you talked about that, oscillating saws. You can get one of those handheld flush cuts.
real quick, I'm going to go over the list of equipment to use at the end of this video. So whatever Michael's using, we're going to give you how to use it and probably give you the economical alternative.
Yeah, so basically I know because I've cut these off, that I know exactly where that all my door jambs and casings are at the correct height, because you want it to slide up underneath there. So anyways, what I'm going to do now is, now you can kind of see I'm kind of in a position where I can run it any way I want it to. But the easiest way is to pull it to one side or the other. And what I mean by that is I want my piece to end up on one side of the door or the other. And that is because if I get a big piece in here like this, I can't rock it in there. So I have to get it to go from one side in so far, and then I'll take this piece and snap it in there and go up underneath.
So go all the way through, so you can start instead of jack-legging it through.
Right.
Okay, and you're going to do this by some measurement. Okay, and
Yeah.
I'll let you take over on that.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do here is I'm putting this blue tape on there so I can see really well, because this, especially since this stuff's so dark. So I'm going to measure to this point right here in the casing, and I got about 1.25 inches. I want to make sure that it goes up underneath there at least 1/4 inch, at least 1/4. So I'm going to mark 1.5 inches. There is how far out I want that to go. And then this mark I can just put on there anywhere I want to. So I'll put this mark, let's say right here. And the reason is because I want this piece to be able to lock in. And so this seems like a good spot to me. So then all I can do, put another mark out here on the inside of this casing, so it goes up in there just a little bit. That's what we want.
So basically,
now I got this notch that I
right.
need
So
to
basically,
take
you're creating the notch with your tape
Mm-hmm.
and just shoving it in there. So when you go out and cut it, it's just going to fit like a custom fit.
Yep.
Okay, and this is what makes room transitioning easy.
Yeah, and I do it like this instead of one big piece, not just because of accessibility, but also you don't want to splice right there. You want to be able to cut it on one piece, make one cut, and you're done.
Okay, so you're going to go cut?
Yep.
Okay, and we'll see you in a minute. Hey everybody, we're here with Michael. He just made the measurements that you saw on there, so he's going to step over to the miter saw, or actually, the miter saw.
Yeah, I'm going to do it on the miter saw.
Miter saw, and
now again, you could do this all with a jigsaw if you wanted to, because you know most homeowners aren't going to have just a miter saw just laying out and around. So anyway, in this case, I'm just going to cut this line that I made a mark of down to where this other line goes in here. So I'm just connecting the dots. And I'm using the blue tape because not just does it help me see better, but it also protects the finish on the flooring, as you see there.
because if your blade sort of wavers, it may scratch your flooring, right? Right. So here again, you know, Michael's in the trade, so he has all this expensive equipment, but for the people, Michael, who are going to do this one time only, Jigsaw could have done the exact same thing. Do that. As you can see, I'm not in the industry. So now, remember those measurements we took? So now he's going to put it right in there, and it's going to splice just perfectly. So we didn't cut any corners, but we made it look easy. Okay? We'll see you on the inside. Okay, we're back. Here again, we're making this room transition, making it look easy. So, Michael, take it away on your transition.
All right, well, we're going to slide our piece in there. We're going to go over here. Make sure it slides up underneath there. That's perfect.
There you go.
Then all I got to do now is I just got to rip these pieces again, about 1/4 inch off.
So you're going to do some more measurements?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to tie right in here.
Now, guys, this is very important because this is where the rubber meets the road. Because me and Michael, we've talked off camera extensively. This is where the rubber meets the road in terms of installing the quality floor, making it look good. So years down the road, Michael, it won't buckle on you, it won't come out of the grooves, it won't do all these things. Now, Michael, what's the square footage of your house? I forgot to ask you that.
It's probably about 1,200, 1,300.
Okay, 1,300 square feet. You're putting all plank flooring in. It's taking you 2 days to do the whole house.
Yeah.
Custom fit.
Right.
You didn't cut any corners.
Right.
Obviously, this is your house. So you're not going to cut any corners. So guys, what we're talking about is, in a lot of houses, you have a lot of corners to go around. But if you learn how to do it once, right, Michael? Every corner is pretty much the same. So this is a great opportunity for Michael again to complete this these notches on this corner here on this room transition. So let's listen.
Okay, so now what I'm gonna do again, I got that blue tape out there. It's gonna help me see a mark. And as we had talked about earlier, in starting a room, you want to make sure it ends up with about the same piece on the other side. And so it ends up that we did that. So we'll be able to rip the same piece throughout here. And it depends up to you. You can either splice a piece like that in there, or I think I'm going to get a long piece and just put it in there in one piece and that'll be done.
Okay.
So I'm going to grab one of these pieces. And instead of measuring, you can sometimes turn these pieces around. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a second on that. As we know that the tongue, again, is facing away from us. And we know that this point is going to fit in here. Well, you can't get over here and mark it, because if you mark this point, then you're cutting off the end you want. So if you turn it around like this, you can just mark it right there. You don't have to measure anything. Trade secret.
Yeah, with the tongue always coming out at you.
Yeah, with the tongue being out at me.
So what you're gonna saw that end off?
So I'm gonna saw that end off because that's what goes into the wall. Now let me slide over this much.
Okay. Now guys, you'll probably have to watch this video probably 4 or 5 times to understand that. Obviously, because that's what YouTube is for. So so rewind the tape or the video and make sure you learn what he just said. So are we ready to cut?
Yep.
Okay, we'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. Michael has just cut his piece and he's finishing up the room transition. Michael?
Yeah, so I went outside and ripped it down to fit, and then cut it to fit as well. And of course, this piece just interlocks. It's tongue and groove on this side, so I slide that piece in there, and it should be able to slide right back in there. Just use a little pry bar, or you can use a chisel, whatever you got handy. Twist that out there. Pull that tight. We're done.
Now, real quick, Michael, I know this is a good point here. The spacing right here, guys, for when you lay your floor, and Michael, he's going to use shoe molding or what they call quarter round to actually cover that up. So you don't want your wood to fit flush on that, right, Michael?
Right, so you want it, you know, I could have slid it up underneath there and brought it out. It's a little bit more difficult that way, but in most people's cases when they're using the flooring in a remodeled home, you're going to have to butt up to it anyway. So cut it a little shy of that, and your quarter round will cover no problem.
Yeah, now, real quick, the quarter round is sort of a mold that comes up about 1 inch on your
just about 3/4 of an inch, and it comes out a 1/2 inch.
So it's going to sort of be a buffer. It's going to seal your floor in. We don't have it right now because we haven't gotten that far yet, but just to let you know that we're not leaving this gap, here for any reason whatsoever. Okay, thanks, Michael. Hey everybody, Terry Bradley here again with howtoinstallplankflooring.com. Here again with Michael Lush. Now we've come to a point in the room where we're approaching the vent. And so when we look at this vent, Michael, should people get worried about that, or how does that work in terms of cutting around it since your floor is not?
It's simple, Terry. All you gotta do is just like we've been doing, is just lock the floor into place, kind of like so, and then you can see where the register is gonna be. So you cut it. You can just mark it according to the vent there, and then take this out. And this dimension you'll need to get is the one right here. How much to leave in right here.
How much to leave in? Okay.
So I'll measure again here. Trim this a little bit off here. So 3.5, even across there. So I just put a mark on my plank, and then we'll be able to cut this piece up.
So basically you measured from where the wood starts to where you want it to cover your vent, right?
Right, and I got a little bit of leniency with the register because it's going to overlap everything.
Overlap. Yeah. Now, in some videos I see, and maybe you can comment on this, the length of their plank board is not wide enough. Now, obviously you're using what, 5 1/4?
5 inch.
5 inch. And how wide do they come? Up to?
Some of them come into as much as like 12, 14 inches.
So if it was that long,
Mhm.
you would just cut a hole in it
Right.
and then set it on. But since it's
Right.
not wide enough, you have to sort of notch it.
Right.
Okay. So did you get that? So a lot of times if your flooring's wide enough, you just cut around the vent and you'll have like your plank with the holes cut out. But in this case, we had to notch it because our plank floor is not as wide as the register. Okay?
Ready to cut it.
Okay, and we'll come back and see you install it. Hey everybody, we're back. Michael just made his measurements for the vent cutting, and so as you can see, he cut it out with his miter saw, and it looks good. So basically, Michael, as that fits, you'll continue on down.
Yeah, so
And-
now,
You're going to measure the other side.
yeah, so my other pieces now, just notch right around it. I'll have, well, that's a little close. I'll get a picture of her. I'll leave another piece right there.
Okay. It's here.
There we go. This will actually, that'll be just fine.
Okay.
So now all I gotta do is again just mark it out. And I'll move points right here, and then I'll just measure what I got to this point. About 3 inches. So again, I'll make this notch in this 3 inches. And I'll make this continuous right here.
So here again, just outlining the vent as if you were to see it on tape, on the blue tape.
3 inches right here. So it's just
So-
all the way to the end.
So when you set it back down, make your mark. This is your vent, right? You're going along that line,
Yep.
and then just keep going forward. So
Yep.
when you get back, we'll see you install it. We'll just keep going just like that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Just like
We'll
that.
see you when you get back.
Alright.
Okay, we're back. Michael's cut his piece out of the vent, and see how it's going to work. There you go. Slide it with it.
And that register will cover all
So yeah, there's your register right there. So basically, he's going to put the register on top, and it's going to look custom fit for a nice fit in his room. Okay, thanks, Michael, for your time. Now, when I come back, I'm going to literally outline the tools that we're using to lay the flooring. Now, since I mentioned earlier, since Michael's in the industry, he uses tools that are probably a little more expensive, but I'm going to give you the alternative to where when you're laying floor for the first time, how you can use other tools, or maybe not as many tools, so you can get your floor laid. Okay? I'll see you in a minute. Hey everybody, Terry Bradley here again. Now, we've just completed our floor installation. You've seen how to do several things, installing floors and that kind of thing. Now, I just want to go over briefly the tools that we used. And I know a lot of you don't use these high-priced tools, so I'm just sort of going to give you the alternative to what you have. Now, of course, you use the hammer to hammer everything in. You can have Michael.
I can use
Table saw. Okay, sorry. Hammer. Michael's good at work here. We did the hammer. Then we got the blue tape. Okay. Blue tape measure. Now here's a little trick we have. We have a hammer stapler. Okay. Now a lot of you may not want to use a hammer stapler for one installation, but from my understanding, you can actually use a regular stapler to staple the rosin paper down underneath the floor. We got a saw, oscillating jam saw, so you can level your flooring out to go under. Now you may not want to do this, have a machine like this either, but you can go to the store at Lowe's. Okay, yeah, you can go to the store and get a hand saw to kind of get that done.
10, 15 bucks.
Yeah, so this $100 to go to the store and get the handmade. You go to Lowe's or Home Depot, it costs you about 10 or 15 bucks to get that done. Of course, and I don't know if I covered this, but if I haven't, I'm going to do it anyway. Miter saw for the cuts. Michael's using a table saw. Now, table saw is not really important here because, like I mentioned earlier, you can use the jigsaw, okay, to do all your cuts. So basically you can get by with miter saw, jigsaw, handheld, oscillating jam saw, regular stapler instead of this, of course tape measure, blue tape, and a hammer. So just review the video to see what you need, so we can get you by real cheaply as far as materials are concerned, and you can have a great looking wood floor like Michael's installed in his house. Now let me go back in the house if Rachel will follow me. And what we have is, and again what we've done is we've covered the whole house in about 2 days, about 1,300 square feet, custom fit. Michael actually did it pretty much all by himself, so you can pretty much do it also. Now opt in, hit the link at the bottom of this video, how to install plankflooring.com. On that website you'll see more videos, more downloads, more information on how to install plank floors. That's again, it's the link at the bottom of this video on YouTube, how to install plankflooring.com. When you go to the website, you're going to see an introductory video on the whole house, what we've covered. For those of you who actually find the website before you find the YouTube video, I'm going to link it back. I'm going to link the website back to this YouTube video on how to do that. So again, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our tutorial on how to install print wood flooring, and I'll see you on the next video.